Good afternoon. Welcome back to another edition of the B&H Virtual Event Space. Back with Esteban Toro joining us as part of a Sony sponsored 6-part series into travel photography. And today we're talking behind the scenes. So Esteban's going to take us behind his planning, his creative process. So all that work that goes into the magic. Esteban, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? How's everything, Derek?
How are you? What's
I'm
what's uh
fine.
what's shaking over there? I see that you're not, in your normal setting. You're back out on the road, man.
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back on the road. I remember those times when we were just talking before the live, and I was like, "Oh, I'm like in Ethiopia. I'm in Turkey," and it was like such a hurry just to find a place with good connection. Yeah, I'm in Vegas right now. I'm on assignment here. So yeah, it's beautiful. Blue sky day. It's a little bit earlier for those who are joining from New York. Also you, Derek, but yeah, it's great here.
We can't pin you down. I thought I had you back in one spot in New York. We do like 2 weeks and you're back out on the road, but it's
Yeah,
good to see
yeah.
you back doing what you do, man. And great to have you on. Of course, I want to send a huge welcome to everybody joining us on YouTube and Vimeo. So everybody watching on there, if you have any questions, feel free to get them in. Again, I want to thank our sponsor, Sony, for sponsoring this entire 6-part series. Really digging in. Esteban has a lot of information to get to, so I'm going to let him take it away, but get those questions in and we'll see you in a bit.
Sure, sure thing. Thank you so much. So, hello guys, welcome to our third session. For those who doesn't know what's happening here, we're having a series of workshop series that consists in different sessions. We're having each one every Wednesday, same time, and we're gonna be discussing several topics about travel photography. We already had our first session about traveling during the pandemic. I discussed some topics with you. I share some images that I had during that time. Last session we were discussing how to post-process those files that we look at during the first session. And today I'm going to share some other stories and how I approach my trips and how I decide where to go, or how exactly I choose, like when I go to a certain location, how to find the right story, following a little bit of the instinct of the place. So many of you have asked me if you miss one of these workshops, if you can watch it again. All of these will be stored in the BNH YouTube channel. So you just Google BNH Esteban Toro, and then you will find it. So again, my name is Esteban Toro. For those that don't know me, I'm a Sony Ambassador. I'm a photographer, travel photographer. And well, I'm gonna start sharing with you some of the images that we will start discussing today. So as I told you previously, I want to, you should be able to see my images now. I want to start discussing how I approach this first story, that it's in Madagascar. This is a very big island in Africa. And basically, the way I decided to start to approach this trip was that I was very interested in photographing the baobabs. The baobabs, let me show you the first picture is this one. This is a baobab. It's a very interesting tree with this shape. So basically, I made a whole trip. I traveled from Namibia, that was on the south side of southwest side of Africa. I traveled around like 6 hours and a half to get to this island, and then I went to Antananarivo. I know it's a challenging name to pronounce, so many people just call it Tana. I traveled to Tana. This is how Tana looks like. This is the first sunset, how the country received me. And my only purpose was to photograph these baobabs, these trees. So I tell you this because I made the whole trip just to get into this place. To get here, I had to travel. I had to take a car for 2 days. We traveled on the road in a very, very challenging road to get here, where there's this place called the Baobabs Valley. It's a really amazing, beautiful place, and all I wanted was to create these landscape pictures. So I basically was obsessed with them. I wanted to have the best and beautiful picture that I could possibly get in the place. So every morning, every sunset, I will just drive there. I had to have my own local guide to help me to sort out some things in the place. It's a country that mostly speak like French, so I don't speak French, unfortunately. So well, I need to get some things done. So I will drive every day here trying to catch the best sunrise or the best sunset as possible. As many of you, I'm sure you do in your trips. So it all started with this adventure. I wanted to frame it like I like this silhouette, but I also wanted to get the sun on it. And first it was more like landscape style. Then I wanted to include a little bit of the foreground. So I decided that maybe a little bit of the grass in the front near the area will be interesting. Then I discover or I realized that if I include the human figure in the pictures, it will be even more appealing to the general, to the general picture. So I decided to include the human figure in that. And then in one morning, while I was waiting on this baobab alley, I just discovered that there was a lot of people coming by all the time, just coming and coming and coming. And I just decided to stand in the right spot, waiting for the right moment to happen. So there was a bunch of people coming like in a bicycle or people from the local village just walking around. And one of the pictures that really caught my attention was this one because these two ladies were just coming towards me, and they were very distracted. They were not like putting attention to the camera. They completely forget about it. And why I'm mentioning that they didn't put attention to the camera, because I was using a big telephoto lens. And the reason for that is that I decided that, as you can see, these baobabs are huge. But if I wanted to compress a little bit the background and create more this feeling of like the baobabs are giant, I needed a telephoto lens. So I was very visible. I used actually, you can see the telephoto lenses that I use in the background of my screen. They are pretty big and wide, so they were very visible while I was holding them. And I got very interested in these people who were coming to the village, which to be honest, I didn't have any idea that they lived there. So as I was just talking to them and as I was just like discovering them, I was able to realize that they were really interesting subjects to photograph and to create some portraits that I usually love to do. And I started discovering a little bit more of the people there. I asked them, I didn't imagine that there was like a special community with special features like this mask on the face. I usually try to research a little bit before going to any location, but I didn't find any information about them. So it was very new and unexpected, but I had to adapt the conditions that I found to create something interesting. And I found it even more challenging because it was telling a whole story with the people that I found there. So then after that, I just decided to start looking for. Hold on, okay. Yeah, there's an issue here. I heard something. So I just decided to start like looking for these portraits and understanding why they paint their face like that. They use basically they cut part of a tree, not the baobab tree, but another trees. They peel it off and then they just mix it with water and they produce this mask to like this sunscreen to protect from the sun, from the very harsh sun that we have every day there. So I decided to join them and start discovering what's their lifestyle and where they go. They live around this amazing valley, and so they basically they grow rice here, and they were just like collecting it. And so I decided just to join them and take some portraits and ask them to pose for me in some pictures. In some others, I was just following them to understand like a little bit more of their culture. And I got this. I personally, I at first when I took all this series of pictures, I thought that this one was the final image that I was gonna be in love with, but I realized after some years that this is my favorite one. I don't know why. In the other one, she was collecting some rice on this basket, and they were working there. And I asked them to look at me for a little while because I saw the doves in the background just coming, and I thought it was going to be like the most standing out picture. And at first I liked it a lot, but then I realized that it was more natural, where they are walking and working as well. And as you can see, we're all deep into the water of the rice field, just collecting there. And this is this very beautiful, majestic colors near the baobab trees that are absolutely stunning. So these are some other portraits that I took of them. I just decided to start exploring a little bit with different lenses, different light. Here is behind the scenes that actually is the promoting image that we use for this conference. This is yeah, like how I'm taking some picture of them. I think actually this is the picture that shows how I took this portrait. So as you can see, I'm standing there in the middle of the mud, and there's my tripod. I carry everything with me, and we're just taking some pictures at sunrise early in the morning. I spent a week in this place. I just decided that since I was so obsessed with these trees, with the baobabs, I just decided that it was important to have enough time to to capture every day from different angles. But it was very lucky because I had then the chance to share with them and understand a little bit deeper into their culture and their way of lifestyle. So I joined them to their dwellings and where they live, how they live, what they do every day. I met the kids. They invite us to have some food and share with them, which is always something very generous and beautiful that I found every time that I'm traveling. And is that these people who virtually you will say they have no material objects and they have mostly nothing to eat every day, they're always open to share with you and to let you come into their houses and share and take some pictures and portrait them. So that was I was very moved and surprised to find this beautiful community. I still kept trying to find the right composition with the right subject in front. So one day that I was just capturing some women working on the field, I found this beautiful like car, let's call it, like with this cow and these guys just there, and it was just like beautiful for early in the sunrise. So I just decided to take a picture of them. Here you can see I'm working in some pictures of them in the fields. So that was more like a documentary style that I try to always collect. So every time that I'm approaching a trip, if I see the option to go and document how's the lifestyle of someone, and then I mix it with the landscape, I totally go down for that. And actually, many times I prefer even to capture the documentary style more than the landscape. But what I try to show you with this, and which result very funny to me, is that the the documentary came after looking for an excuse that was the landscape style. So these pictures, these baobabs pictures that are like, yeah, they're fine, they are beautiful, but nothing outstanding or special or unique. If you compare with the other million of images that exist from baobabs, uh, ended up being documenting like these beautiful stories and these people. And while I was in this rice field and working with them, with these women, this kid came playing, and he was like trying to look for the camera. If some of you have had the chance of documenting like communities around the world, you will remember that kids always come kind of playful. They like to explore the camera. They come like shy. They look and they are like, okay, like how exactly can I approach here? And then I just realized that he wanted to play with the camera, so I just decided to follow. I asked him to lay on the ground, and I found that he had this beautiful. He had like a green eyes that you cannot see here because it's a black and white picture, but it was really outstanding eyes. So I just decided to ask him to lay on the grass, and I was just taking some pictures of him. And at some point, a way of I had this idea of someone framing his eyes, but I didn't want to exactly make him pose. So instead of telling him like, oh, and actually because I didn't speak the same language and my producer was working in something else in the moment, I just decided to tell him to play this game. Like he was gonna hide behind like his eyes behind the camera, and then he was gonna show it to me. And at some point, he just opened like his hands in the right position, and I just took this snap that I personally like very much. It's one of my favorite portraits, and to me, it ended up being one of my favorite pictures of the trip. So again, what I'm telling you is like I started up wanting to have a beautiful picture of like a landscape picture of a baobab, and I ended up with a beautiful portrait that I never planned to do during my trip. That's kind of how I approach many of my trips. That's how many times it happens. And then I had the chance to like life gave me the opportunity to have the two pictures. Like, okay, you want the landscape one and you want the portrait one. Now you have the portrait, so now let's get the landscape one, I was very lucky to find the Milky Way right in behind this beautiful baobab. Um, Something that I discovered that I had a great producer in Madagascar, and he was always like very calm. But at some point, while we were waiting for the night sky, these guards came to us like with guns, and they tell us like, okay, these park rangers came like, what time are you leaving? And we said like, no, we're chilling here, like we're not in a rush. We don't want to go home. Like stars are beautiful. We will just camp and maybe take some pictures. And the situation is that this is a very like a very remote area, and when they tend to steal like especially kids in order to show that they are powerful and that they deserve to get a woman and get married, they have to prove that they are capable of that. So in order to do that, they have to steal the cattle of some other people of some other tribe near the area. But when they cannot steal like the cattle, they if they see some car, they will stop it and try to steal everyone, which is very, we didn't know that as well. And then as we knew it, we had to get like, we took the picture, we were escorted all the time during the capture of this picture, and then they escorted us for maybe like an hour trip that we head back home. And my producer, who was really amazing, he was really calm. I saw him like sweating and really worried, and I said like, are we in trouble? And he's like, it's not convenient to be here at this time, it's not so safe. And I felt that there was something that was not so easy in that moment. Luckily, nothing happened to us, and yeah, I was able to get this picture, which I consider one of my personal treasures because of all this hustle and this story that I'm telling you, that it was not easy at all to get. But definitely my favorite still is this portrait that he's looking like that. It's very powerful, that I ended up turning into black and white because of other reasons that actually I'm going to share with you next session, when we will work in the post processing of these pictures to understand how I post process all these images. But this one was the final one that I actually got from Madagascar, and everything started because of these trees. And then I was able to collect this story, this very 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 short story for this trip. Mm, so after Madagascar, I decided to travel. Well, it was not. This is not like in a regular timeline, but at some point I decided to go to Peru. While in Madagascar, I was interested in just photographing these baobabs, these trees. In Peru, I was more interested in photographing the whole country. Like Peru, as many of you know, it's one of the most beautiful countries with incredible landscape, amazing people, great food. And I just decided that it was going to be interesting to discover the whole country. So I just saved maybe like a month and a half just to go there and discover it, like going very slowly and doing a lot of stuff. But I didn't have like some purpose as I had with the baobabs. Like I didn't have like, okay, I want to bring this image back home when I will leave Peru. I was just like open to explore, but I still did my research. I looked what are the locations that I'm gonna visit, what are the potential images that I could create, but I didn't come up with any proper image. And then while I was traveling there, this is the Ica Desert. Yeah, this is the Ica Desert. This is a very beautiful sand mountains, really nice place. And I start discovering the place, like scouting and seeing what it was all about. And then I just noticed that it was a very powerful and potential location for a future picture. So I decided to keep going and start looking for something else. This is a little bit to show you how this place looks like. It's really beautiful. It's an oasis in the middle of the desert. It's absolutely great. People do like sandboard and stuff, and it's as you can see, it's like just a bunch of houses there. I was actually staying like, if you see the red, like yeah, like red brick building there, that's where I was staying in a hometown, in a home house there. And yeah, it's very small. You just walk there. So while I was spending all day, I found that I was trying to look for something that will give this unique feature to the composition of the picture. And then I realized that it was important to have the human figure, because in the first picture that I took during the first sunrise, yeah, it was sunrise, sunset, I don't know, it was sunset. I realized that the scale of the landscape was so massive that it's really hard to understand if this is a really big sand dune or it's just like a compressed picture with a telephoto lens, which is like kind of both for this situation, if some of you are wondering. But before heading for a sunset capture in a dune that I just discovered, I found these two girls from Chile, and they were just like hanging around. And I saw that one of them was wearing like this beautiful dress, and I said like, I literally came to them and said like, hello, my name is Esteban. I'm a photographer. I'm about to head to the sand dunes. Do you want to? I mean, do you want to join me? And I can take some pictures of you and send it back to you. And they were really excited. So we just went there, and I took her picture. And I like this one because it allowed me to give that proportion, that feeling of like massive place with the human figure. That is something that we can always relate. So maybe a good tip that I will give to all of you is that if you want to give that feeling of proportion, always use something that human eye can relate. So nature is sometimes is very big and wide, and it's hard to comprehend. But if you give something, it can be a stone, it can be a person, it can be a tree, something that we can be familiar with anywhere in the world. Anyone anywhere in the world can relate what's the size and the dimension of this place. So actually, no matter where you're looking this from, you will understand that this is a very, very, very massive desert in the middle of Peru. And then I of course wanted to have like a nice sky picture, and I decided to, since I didn't count with her anymore to take more pictures, I just decided to be my own model, and I posed for this picture that it's a like a nice cape with a Milky Way in the background, in the same sand dunes, just a little bit like a visual from a further distance. So that's how I started. And then I headed to the north side of the country. I was leading a workshop with a colleague photographer who's a great photographer, Jason, and we were just leading this photo workshop in the mountains. It's called the White Mountains of Peru. The real name is Cordillera Blanca. And we were heading there to give a landscape and nightscape photo workshop. And before that, we just saved some time to go and explore some locations. So I decided to start producing a little bit more of landscape and understanding like what potential locations we could use for the workshop. This is a really amazing place for those who like landscape photography and nature outdoors. That's a fantastic place in the north side of Peru, and you will see how diverse it is. But the only thing that I will consider that it's a fun fact to consider from this place is that it has one of the most dangerous roads to drive in the world. It's very curvy, and it's a very risky mountain. So well, but if you can deal with the situation of driving in this road and just getting there, you'll be totally rewarded. Also, the altitude, it's a big problem. I was very lucky that I was living by the moment in Colombia, in Bogota, meaning that Bogota is around I know in meters, I'll have to convert it in feet, but it's like 2,600 meters, and this place is like almost like 5,000 meters, which is really, really high. So that's also challenging to actually walk in these places, and you have to go very slow, take it easy, but you're rewarded, of course, with beautiful moments like this sunrise or sunset, but when the mountains and the landscape is painted by the light. That's very beautiful. But again, I have always had this double feeling that is like, yeah, I like landscape, I love to go and capture a beautiful place, but I love to see who is the people who live there and how to include that in my compositions. So while I was traveling, I just discovered there's a bunch of countryside And there's of course a lot of countryside people who work there, and they were really nice to let me approach to them and just take some snaps while they were working. So I just came to this field, and this is a really majestic view. I mean, it's like, just look at it, like, it's to me, this picture, while I was picking this picture for this conference, I was like, wow, this image is really surreal. It's like you have these beautiful mountains with like snow in the background, very dramatic, and at the same time you have this girl, this farmer, just working here on her field. That's really like powerful. To me, it's a powerful mixing. This is part of the road that I told you that it's very challenging to drive. It's not one way, but it's kind of like you can just drive one car on the whole road. So if you find someone and you're going up, it's a little bit challenging, but of course it's also really beautiful to capture and just to, yeah, to step out of the car and take some snap of the road. And again, I was going back to photograph more mountains, getting the beautiful sunrise light. And I remember that I was also starting with new Sony gear. So I was just starting with this camera and trying to understand how it worked, how, like you get the general feeling of the of the equipment that I was using. And then during the workshop that we were leading, we took some pictures, and I decided to take again this self-portrait with the Milky Way in the background, um, which was very interesting and challenging because this is a very like uneven mountains that I had to hike up to get there. So basically, I usually don't carry much with me. I just carry like my cameras and my lenses and maybe a tripod. Sometimes, not always, but in this situation, I had a tripod, and I had to count with the remote controller of the camera to actually take the picture. But I was not quite sure about like I said, the composition before I load. I made some picture of the Milky Way, but I had to wait at the right time because it was going to be very short. But the Milky Way was going to be like in the right position, so I was going to be able to actually look at it. And I had just to go there, hike up, take the picture, go back, check the image, and so it goes. But it was a little bit challenging, but I think it was really worth it. I like this portrait of me here. And again, I go back to the people. So while I was not in the mountain, trying some landscape or taking some picture during the sunset, mm, I was trying to capture the people who live around. And I remember this beautiful girl. I was just walking. No, I was driving in the car with one local person who was guiding me in the area, and I saw this girl. I saw this kid, and I was fascinated by her face. She was powerful, beautiful, and I stopped there. And there's a thing with with Spanish, and maybe if some of you here in this live speak Spanish as well, is very challenging, and is that accents in Spanish can be so different that even if you speak the language, it might seem like you don't. So it's these situations where you will prefer to communicate in another language. It has happened to me, and it happened to me in Peru. I will share with you this story as well today, that uh, they were speaking to me in Spanish and I couldn't understand a single word. So and of course, I guess it happens the same on the other side. So I just came to her and I said like, "Yay, I want to take a picture of you. I want to take a portrait." But it was really hard to communicate. Like her language, her Spanish and my Spanish was really different. And it was very challenging. But all I understood from her was like you can do it, but if my dad comes out, I will need to go running. So that was a lot of pressure, and I didn't know exactly what it meant. I was a little bit concerned about it. So I just took her picture. Actually, this is the only portrait that I took of her. And then her parent came out and she just ran away. And I was not able to get her name or understand a little bit more of her story. But yeah, I found her really beautiful with all the details, all this like dust and in her face. It's absolutely amazing. And I remember this beautiful story, and it reminds me of this language barrier, even though you speak the same language. It's very, very powerful. Um, I keep going in the mountains. I'm in the north side of Peru, still discovering what's gonna be there. And I again like I want to go to the local people. And something that happened when you're traveling overseas is that people want to show you the most beautiful areas of their places. So they want to take you to things that they feel proud about. And I feel yeah, and I recall this feeling also in my own country. That is that when a foreigner comes, you just want to take them to the most like beautiful buildings that usually are like malls or things where like people admire. um so when I tell them like I want to go to the countryside, I want to meet like local people, I want to meet like like yeah, I usually tell, for example, like local drivers, take me where you live, take me to your neighborhood. I don't know, like many times they're really nice and they even take you to their houses and they introduce you with their neighbors and with their friends, and that's really cool for photographing. But I remember that I was struggling a little bit to convince the this guy from the north side of Peru to take me to this countryside area, because my feeling was that he was feeling a little bit of ashamed of it, because it's a very, very poor area. Um, but that was exactly what I wanted to discover and what I wanted to photograph. The reason being that I found it, of course, very dramatic and powerful to photograph and create these portraits. So I entered this house. This house is quite small, and I was just like sharing with them. Again, it was really hard to understand their Spanish. Like they have they have a Spanish that it's really unaudible for me. So it was hard to share. But there is also like I feel when you come to the house, to someone's house, all you have to do is start being humble and realize that this is their place and you are a stranger with a huge camera, kind of invading their space. So that means to me that I always keep the camera down. I'm not shooting all the time. I just keep the camera down. I always tend to share something. If they give me a coffee, I just drink the coffee and I just had some time with them. And just by sitting with them, I understand the dynamic of who is who. And usually there's like a leader of the house, tends to be the older, or women tend to be a lot like the leaders of the house. And I just once I understand that, I ask them for permission if they allow me to take the pictures, which in this case I did. And after some time sharing with them, I had no rush during the day. I had no pressure to go and do something else. I just started taking these photographs that they're just like hanging around, doing nothing special, but that I found very beautiful because this is their intimacy. This is where they live. That's what they do. And I found especially details very expressive. They were powerful. These hands, all the marks, they were very, very, very powerful, that I wanted to share. And I selected this picture because I wanted to bring a little bit of controversy, and also we can discuss this topic if you have some questions. So don't hesitate to send them to Derek. He will share it with me. But basically, I remember that I shared this, not exactly this picture. I share some stories that I did, like behind the scenes of this portrait. And I received one comment that really touched me, and it was one person asking me on social media why I decided to photograph her. That photographing her was um, like disrespectful because she's too old to be photographed, and that why I consider her beautiful to photograph. And I remember having this interesting like argument with her, like with that person, just explaining like, okay, I found her beautiful, I found her marks beautiful. And she was like, yeah, but this is she said to me something like, this is not a beautiful picture to look at, this is just like a hard picture to look at. And I agree, it's hard, but the fact that it's hard doesn't mean that it's not beautiful per se, that it's not worth it to appreciate. And I found her really expressive, really beautiful. I want to zoom a little bit and show you all her details. Of course, again, communication it's a little bit challenging. They kind of they are not like there with you. They're in their own mind, and you are just thinking like, I find her beautiful. How I will respectfully approach to her. So I remember that I was just staying with her, and I asked her many times, "Madam, may I take your picture?" And she was like, "Yes," but I was afraid that she will not understand me, so I repeated several times until she told me this joke, and she said like, "I told you yes 5 times. Why you don't take my picture?" And then she started saying like, "Please take my picture," which made me laugh a lot because it was like, okay, I was like I was underestimating that she will understand what I was asking, and she was completely lucid understanding what I was requesting of her. Um, her hands were really beautiful and powerful, very expressive. So I think the portrait is not only her face, but this is not one of my favorite portraits if I'm like photographically speaking, because it's like the background is a little bit dull. There is nothing interesting. The light is not like quite amazing. I would love to have photographed her in another location, but she was very old and very fragile. I didn't want her to move from her place, so actually I moved her to another location. I didn't want to move her to another location, so I just kept her like there. I didn't even ask the favor. So I decided that her portrait was going to be something more like this close up with the hands, although I still find very appealing the previous picture with all her marks. Mm, I kept photographing some other people from the village around, and that's how it was. Like I ended up there. So now the story, and well, I just want to stop 1 second to ask if there are some questions before I jump into this one. So Derek, I don't know if not, we'll just keep going.
Yeah, we do have a couple. If you want to knock some of the ones out from earlier, we just had a couple quick ones we can probably take care of,
Mhm.
Esteban. David
Sure.
had a question early on. He wanted the name of that tree that you were talking about early on.
Baobabs. I will spell it Baobabs. Baobabs.
All right, we'll get that in the chat there for you guys. David
Yeah.
is also asking how long was the exposure on the Milky Way, and if you remember roughly your settings on that one. Do you shoot it wide open? What kind of settings on that?
Yeah, that's basically 25 seconds, f2.8, ISO like 6400 probably. That's my like to go settings always that I'm shooting like these kind of pictures. And I think that one was with a 16-35 millimeter G Master lens. Mhm.
Okay. And David also asked about the settings on the photo that you just showed of the older woman. Is there a general for portraits? Do you generally shoot wide open, Esteban?
Which picture of which old? I guess the one that I was this
Yeah,
one maybe.
probably I think that last one, this one right here.
Uh, Well, the settings, I can actually, I think you can see it here. I cannot because I have the Zoom thing.
Oh,
Let me
there we
just see.
go. Look at that.
There you go. There are the settings there.
Wonderful. So, David, there's the settings right there. And while you guys are taking a look at that, Jemson, who's joining us on YouTube, had a question about composition. So, is there any
Huh?
tips you can give? Just a quick tip or two on composition.
Composition. Always understand how we're like, imagine that you're the viewer and you want as a viewer, you want the photographer to guide you to understand where you are supposed to look at. So give them some hints that will help them, like help the viewer to understand where exactly to look. So it's very simple. If I take, I don't know, like an image like this one, I'm sure many of you look at these details here. So if you start this, like your view starts something with the hair and takes you to her eyes, and then you look at her cheeks. That's really like easy. Like I'm just guiding through the hair, which was mainly a coincidence. Here you have an easy spot that it's the person, the human figure that helps you to understand the rest of the landscape, and and so on. Like human figure in general, as I was showing you in the desert in Peru, I think is very important for composition.
Wonderful. Well, we'll let you get back in. We'll remind everybody if you do have any questions, make sure you get them in. Before we jump back in, Elizabeth said the controversial picture shows her life in her face. It's beautiful. So people are enjoying the images.
Oh, great. I'm glad. No, and I just decided to bring the topic because I find it's important to discuss the ethics of photography and how to approach people and how to do this stuff. Uh, there is no right or wrong way. Well, maybe there is more like wrong ways than right ways, but I just wanted to share like how I do it and why I decided to photograph some people and yeah, how I filter that. So going back to this one, I was in the north side of Peru and I had to travel to go to Machu Picchu. I remember that I had to wake up like 3 a.m., take an airplane, get to Lima, then get another airplane maybe for another 2 hours. Then I had to maybe take a bus, going to one place, then take another bus, getting to another place, and then taking a train to get to the main town. And by the moment that I arrived in the hotel was like 4:30 around p.m. I was exhausted. I had one of these long like traveling days, and I remember I decided when I like a location, as I did like with Machu Picchu, I was very interested in having like a beautiful picture of this place. I like to to exaggerate a little bit and stay longer than I was supposed to do. So many people go to Machu Picchu for 1 day, 2 days. I decided that I was gonna go 8 days, and that every day I was gonna go and capture Machu Picchu to see how it will look like. So mm, I tell you this road trip because I was like all this trip that I did because I was mainly exhausted. I was really tired, and I get into my bedroom that was and my bed was really awful, really uncomfortable, and I just decided to call my mother, and I told her like, well, I just get here. I'm so tired. I would love to go to catch the sunset, but I really think I will have a week here, so let's try it another day. And she was like, I don't know why she decided to tell me this, but she said like, well, but you're there. Like, I mean, just go and do it. Like, if you already had a long day, don't like just go there. And why not? And her words really stick with me, and I just decided to go. And I went up to the hill, and I discovered that I was very lucky. There was no one in the place, which was really weird. In 2018, that I took this picture, and the light was absolutely great. It just painted the whole place, and I was able to take this panorama. And if you look carefully, there is not a single soul in the place. I remember I just had the security guard behind me telling me like, we're closing the park, and I was like, yeah, just let me take the last picture. He was like, we're closing the park, and I was like, yeah, just the last one, because I was waiting for the right sun angle to come in the perfect position and just take the perfect image. And I remember that he was like a little bit intense, so I decided like, hey, you have a picture here, like, I mean, you work here, have you ever had your picture taken in this place? And he was like, no, I don't. And I said like, all right, so if you want, I can take it with my camera, or I can take it with your cell phone. And he's like, oh, you can do that. And I said like, sure. So I just took my camera, took his cell phone, took many pictures while I was just waiting for the right time. And I took this picture. And as I told you, I exaggerate a little bit, like going for a week and having every day an entrance to go to see Machu Picchu. I actually did go every day after this day, but none of these days I had a sunset. So every day was clouded, was covered. So I didn't have any opportunity. So if it was not because I had this advice from my mom who said like, go now and do it so you can you can relax and sleep after, I wouldn't have taken this picture. I took some pictures at Blue Hour, but it doesn't look that cool. And yeah, I definitely didn't have this picture, any other opportunity like this one. So always listen to your mom, guys. And then I had this story. This is a beautiful story. Yeah, we still have like quite time to solve it, and then solve some questions. Mm, and it's I was traveling to one place in southern Peru that is called the Rainbow Mountain, has become a little bit more popular within the years. And this like we were traveling from very early. I wanted to arrive for sunrise, and we were approaching the place like 6:30, and my producer just tells me that there is like two communities fighting for the territory of this Rainbow Mountain. It became popular for tourists in Peru, and it's not regulated by any like national parks or anything like that. So they were just fighting for the place. They were killing each other. So we will see all the way ambulances and like doctors going into the place and police and trying to control the thing. And we were told that we were not allowed to go to the place. And I was very angry. Not because I was not able to go. I was angry because I was frustrated that one place became popular and famous for like Instagram pictures, and because of that, now people were killing each other, and that was really sad to me. That was very frustrating. I was like, they shouldn't be killing each other for this place. They yeah, that's unfair. So I was very disappointed, and my producer was very worried because I was upset with 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 all these feelings. And he said, like, I have a place where you will like to go and you will feel relaxed and you will enjoy it more. So we drove back all the way. We drove like maybe like 6 hours, and we get into this place, these beautiful mountains in the hills. And he showed me Adelaida. Adelaida is this woman who works producing like clothing, like winter clothing, for tourists in the area. She showed me how she like produced the color, she paint all the stuff. Like she showed me the whole process, but I was really interested in her. She was really beautiful. So at some point I asked her, I was just standing there and I saw there was this beautiful light coming in. And I asked her, like, would you be interested in if I take your portrait? And she was shy. She was like, oh, but why me? What? Like, you can take a picture of my son. And I said, like, I will take a picture of your son with you, but let me take your portrait. And she's like, okay. So we went. I take her portrait. That was very beautiful and very moving. You can see her with her son, and the landscape. It's absolutely amazing. And while we were just talking and having this conversation, she asked me if I was able to come tomorrow, the next day. And I said, like, oh, I'm going to these salt mines that are near the place. And I told her, like, I don't think I will be able to come. And she said, like, oh, that place, I remember that I went when I was a kid. And I said, like, yeah, and why you haven't come back if it's like so beautiful and it's not so far from here? And she explained me that this place, because it's been like become also like a little bit touristy. People from the region, from that region that I'm going to show you in a second, don't allow people from her region to come. So she was not allowed to come after that. So she went when she was 11 years old, and that's all. And I said, like, so your son has never been there? And she said, like, no, he has never had the opportunity, like the chance to go there. So that moved me a lot. And I asked my producer, like, do you think if we go with her, uh I mean, like, if they come with us, they will be allowed to enter? And it's like, yeah, because when they come with tourists, it's different. They try to protect the tourists. It's something very important in Peru. So they will allow her. So we went next day, and she was able to walk again. And I remember her face. She was crying. She was full of emotions, just telling me how she was really happy to go back to this place where her dad used to take her when she was just 11 years old. And she was able to walk around this place, and she was showing her son the place. And she was like, they were really like this beautiful moment. And she just decided to start walking around, and I just took her picture while she was walking there. uh, so that's the story behind this picture that I also consider really beautiful. And again, speaking about composition, and that's something funny, it's that uh, I didn't plan that she will be in the picture, and it happened that she ended up there by coincidence. And I think that gave this place a more powerful feeling. And now you can feel the sense of how big the place is related with the landscape. And the last part of this story, I just traveled to the southern area of Peru. And this is a place that it's very peculiar because there is a plant that grows in the water. And with this plant, they build islands where they live. So I just decided to go and explore this place. So they picked me up really early in the morning. I had to again like a lot of traveling to get into this place. It's called Urus Island. And the first thing that I decided to do was just to go to the school. I was really interested in knowing how there's a school in the middle of an island that is built in a like water plant. So I took some pictures, some portraits. The kids, they were absolutely beautiful and fascinating. And you'll get to see, like, you can see a little bit of the material. It's called toporo. It's here. It's all these. They grow it at the bottom of the water of the lake, and they go and collect it, and they put it every day to their houses to be able to live there, and they'll have lived there for decades. I remember getting out of. They assigned me. I live with this family for some time, and they assigned me like this room, really comfortable. They assigned me the best room. That's also very interesting. And as I was stepping out the first morning, I was so happy, and I was stepping out, and I just put my feet on the ground, and my feet just went all the way, and I got my like completely wet because underneath that there's the lake, and I was like, whoa, we need some to put some plant here, and they were like really like they were laughing about me. I just captured them like in their place, who they are, what they do, how they live, and I start finding the story in them. So the way that I create this story is like I was interested in capturing them in their place and finding the right excuse, the right moment, the right place, the right conditions, the light, everything to catch the story that I was interested in. And every morning I will join the lead of the community just to drive me around the lake and join him in his daily activities and photographing him from different angles and joining the community. You can see a little bit of how the houses look like, but it was a little bit challenging to show exactly the place. So at some point, I just asked them like if I could make a portrait of the whole family that I stayed with, and they were like, "Wow, a portrait of us? Like we feel shy." And something very interesting is that again, I'm telling you, this is southern Peru. They speak Spanish. I'm Colombian. I speak Spanish. But the interesting thing is that we it was really hard to understand with the only guy who speaks Spanish. The other of them, they have a different like dialectic that it's very like incomprehensible for me. And I was just able to communicate with him, and still it was a little bit challenging to communicate, but we were able to do it. And they were feeling shy that I will want to take a portrait of them, but they were really happy. No one ever had taken a portrait of the whole family. And this is the final portrait that we do in one early morning. This is the family that I stayed with. For them, the concept of family is really important. Many of them consider that they never want to leave the island because family is more important. So they always want to be there. They always want to, even if they go out to the city, the nearest city that is still quite of a small city, they want to go and study there. They still want to come back to live because they always feel that family is first. That's the way they understand life. And this is a picture, like the portrait in the lake, and you can see the houses, some of the houses where they live, and all of this is built with this sea plant that grows underneath the lake. So that being said, what I wanted to share with you as a general thing is like every time that you set your own trip, no matter where you're going, I think it's important to have, of course, like research the places where you want to go, have key locations, and have special pictures that you want to bring when you come back home, but as well to understand and especially be conscious that you can be open to discover new things. So if you think again about the baobabs and the valley where I was capturing there, and I found these beautiful pictures and this beautiful story of this community who lives there, that's one way of that I myself approach these trips. But you also have the opportunity to just pick up a country, and many times this I have been told multiple times by editors and several people, like a country is not a story, but I find that countries might not be a story per se, but you can find stories within the country if you pick up the right locations and if you pick up the right conditions to find these stories. So that's what actually happened to me while I was in Peru, photographing Adelaida and her kid. That was very frustrating that I couldn't get to the place, or staying with this family in Urus Island where I could like have all these pictures and this story, especially the final one that to me is like the one that I would like to print and include in, I don't know, a book, an exhibition, as it has been done in the past. Um, but these are two different ways of approaching a trip. As I exposed with you in the first session, how I approached the trip for traveling, let's say with a love cause, that is like I was just traveling because of love, and it took me to different places and different communities, different tribes. So every time that you feel like an intuition that you should go to one place and you should say yes and don't take the next opportunity, because it can happen as it happened to me in Machu Picchu, that there will be no next opportunity after. So these are the stories that I wanted to share with you. I don't know, we still have some minutes left to discuss some Q&A if there are some questions.
Yeah, we definitely do. I actually wanted to start, Esteban. I mean, you've been all around the world. You've shot a fair amount of uh, jobs and stories in various countries, all types of environments. What is it like being out there? I mean, it's so we get such a different view in this country of everybody's so guarded and everybody has an opinion on photographing other cultures and other countries. What is it like for somebody's over there on the ground doing it? What is the response you get when you go from country to country? I mean, I think everybody always has exploitation on their mind and people want to talk about, the right way to do it, the wrong way to do it. What is it like for somebody who does it for a living? What is the response that you get?
I think I have never had this answer like, oh, you're like, you shouldn't take my picture because you're exploiting me or something like that. I have never had this answer coming from the people that I'm photographing. I have always had this question or this answer coming from people in Western countries that have the feeling or maybe the notion of this situation, and they ask you how is it like there. But it actually it's really different when you're on the ground. And many situations, they perceive the photographer as someone like as a foreigner, as someone really interesting to be with. I remember in Peru, in Urus, I didn't show you this portrait. I have a portrait of a girl carrying her baby. And after I took her portrait, she said like, take it. And I said like, okay, why you want me to hold your baby? And she said like, no, take it with you. I want you to keep it, to keep him. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, are you giving me your kid? And she's like, yes, please take care of him. And I was like, no,
Oh my
like I
God.
cannot take this. Like, and she insisted a lot. And I said like, I'm so sorry. And she gave me like, she presented me like one gift, and she said like promise me you will be like his godfather. Now that like you don't want to take him. And I was like, okay, I can like it's like this situation where they see you with but there is, you have that response, and you have people who is really shy and they don't want to be photographed. And of course, my personal approach is that if someone doesn't want to be photographed, it's like just put down your camera, don't push it, say like thank you, sorry, if you don't want to take the picture, and that's all. And of course, like always feeling like following following your intuition, following your gut, that is like, if you feel it's not right, it's probably not right to capture it. And still you have, I mean, even if you capture the wrong image and you are in the wrong moment, you still have a filter. Is the picture is in your camera. You don't have to share it. You don't have to, like, you can delete it. You can keep it in your archive, and like it doesn't have to go public unless you think it's right to do it. And I think being on the field, it gives you the experience of sharing with people, understanding. I feel the biggest challenge with everyone is that everyone gets surprised that you want to photograph them, because they are like, but why me if I'm not beautiful? And it's like, you're gorgeous. And they're like, I have seen people in countryside who are telling me like, okay, let me get my brush and put my, and I'm like, no, 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 you're looking absolutely great as you are. Like, let me just stand there, like you're perfect here. And they're like, no, but my hair is a mess. Like, and I'm like, don't worry, like that's perfect. So everyone is worried that they are not looking good. Everyone is worried that they're looking old, especially when you're photographing old people. They're like, I look old. Uh, when you're photographing young people, they look worried that they look fat or that they look, so there's always like these self-conscious things that we don't like about ourselves that people is most concerned about, and that happens everywhere. And in the most remote places, I have found a lot of curiosity. So people is really interested. Like I take the picture and they want to see the picture immediately and they start laughing. And I have been in places where they have never been photographed or they have never seen their pictures. So they are like amazed to see themselves for the first time in, like in this screen, and they zoom in and they're like excited about it. So all kind of responses, but I feel always like approach with respect. That's my first advice. And if someone doesn't want their pictures to be taken, just don't take it.
It's interesting. It's like I think we think of that as such a Western thing of people being so worried about what they look like in images, and to hear you say that you've gone to some of the most remote places and people are still worried about how they look and how they're going to photograph. It's kind of interesting.
Actually, I would love to return the question to you. You have photographed a lot in New York, like people walking. I'm really afraid to photograph people in New York because they will come to you and like, why you're taking my picture? Oh, like, like I feel people in the city is more like, so I look at your pictures, Derek, and I'm like, how does he do it? Like, I don't have, like
they're friendly, man. New Yorkers are some of the most friendly. What's funny is the people that I get the most pushback from are not native New Yorkers. Native New Yorkers love the camera. They love to ham it up. When you run into somebody who's born and raised, you actually have to stop them from wanting, like, I gotta go, man. I took 20 pictures of you. Like, I gotta go. Let me out of here. But
I don't know. In cities, I'm really scared. In cities, if you see, I don't show many pictures like, oh, here is like New York and here is Istanbul and here is not really. Like I show you Antananarivo, the capital of Madagascar. I don't have a single picture of someone there. I'm scared of cities, kind of.
Well,
and
we'll have to set something up for the people in New York. We'll do it. We'll do a little joint photo walk where you take. I'll show you how to approach New Yorkers on the street, and you bring all of your storytelling expertise, and we'll get everybody out on the streets for a fun day. Getting back to the questions here, Harris said he joined the webinar a little late. Wants to know what model camera you're using. So if you can give us what's your main go-to setup, camera and lens.
Right now I'm using a A7R4 Sony, but many of these pictures that I show you I took with a A7R3. I use I have lenses that I always have with me, the 16-35mm lens and the 24-70. Those are my main to-go lenses, usually two bodies. And extra that I call I have three, the 16-35, 24-70, and the 70-200 are I need these lenses for everything. And then I have what I call the luxury lenses that I only use when I have the opportunity, when I can plant a picture, and it's like the 85mm and 95mm macro.
What do you use more? Do you use more zoom or more prime?
Zoom because it's more, you can play more with the odd situations. But the quality of prime lenses, I mean, the fixed lenses are just they are great, they're unbeatable. But that zoom give me you gotta
have the versatility. It's not like you can just you can bring 15 bags with you when you're traveling all over the place.
And how you will carry that? How you will carry that? Yeah.
You got to hire me and I'll just carry your bags around. I just want to go. I just want to travel the world with you, man.
You're hired.
There we go.
But first we start in New York and you will show me how to photograph.
There we go.
I'm afraid of photographing people in New York. I'm like,
we're going to get you out there. It's easy. Elizabeth is actually asking, when we're not in New York, when you're out traveling, do you recommend taking a guide around?
Always. Always, because you can be in places that, as I told you in Madagascar, I was in this Baobab Valley, and I had no idea that I was in a dangerous place. And I will have even camp or maybe sleep there, and being assaulted after if I didn't know, if I was not with the right people. So security is first, and then also communication with other people, other languages, that they will understand what you're doing, that they will explain them. That there will be someone speaking their local language saying this is a photographer, he's coming to take these pictures, he's doing that, and that you can actually have that local feeling. It's very important, locals I don't know. There are places where you can travel without locals, but
How often do you run into that? Is that something where like, most of the places you go to are you generally find? Is it something where people hype it up more than it really happens? Or is it something where like, yeah, you run into it quite a bit where you're in areas where you'd be pretty uncomfortable without
yeah,
natives?
yeah. I think majority of times, and especially because when we're traveling, we're excited. We think that everywhere is safe, that everyone is nice. It could be, but you never know. And we have expensive stuff. Cameras are very like flashy, so they look at them. I mean, I don't do this street style photography where I just go and capture with a really small camera. No, like I have big cameras, big lenses. I usually have two cameras with me.
You're a target.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I don't want to, and I don't want to, and I have been in places that are really dangerous, but being there with the right people helps so much. I mean, it's just people, it's human connection. So if you are with a friend of someone who could be dangerous, then he's not dangerous anymore. He's a friend, if that makes sense.
Well, now I got to ask because we were talking about, the distinction between New York and the rest of the world. One thing I found in me capturing New York City is that a lot of the people that most people see as dangerous, I've gotten in with some pretty unsavory characters, and I've gotten to the point where they trust me that they let me take photos, and sometimes it's within 5 minutes of talking on the street.
Mhm.
Do you have that same experience, or is it one of those things where, hey, we think we have it bad here, but you go to some of these countries that are less developed and you can't just show up with a camera and think, oh yeah, hey, cool guy from the States, we're going to let him in and take pictures? Is there a bigger wall up between really getting in? Do you have to build more trust?
I feel it's a little bit. I mean, my own experience is that uh, they think that it's we could make a whole thing about it, but it's like I'm trying to think a short answer that will be I think that it's important to realize that you're a foreigner and there is no way that they will ignore that, and probably they will expect something out of you
Hmm.
getting these pictures done. So it could be money, it could be that you send their pictures, it could be like an explanation like why you're doing it, what for. uh, some people also have like higher expectations. They think that if you have a camera, these pictures will go to the cover of National Geographic, and then and we know that like, it happens like 0.00001% of the time. So we don't know if we will sell this picture. So many people is like, okay, if you're gonna take my picture, like pay me. I don't like to deal with that people. I just when I notice that attitude, I just go like, okay, like let's stop it here. Thank you so much, and I would just go with someone who is nicer, who is more. I feel it's this. I mean, we're all humans, so I feel it's kind of the same approach with everyone, no? Like same in New York.
Yeah.
Like if you find someone who is like so like rock star and they will tell like, oh, you want my picture taken? So $100. You'll be like, okay, thank you so much. Have a good one. And you just go to the next person. But if you find someone nice who is like talking to you, then it's yeah, I feel it's the same approach.
Totally. You,
I,
you,
I
I
don't
mean, I guess it's a mixed bag. You
I
can
feel
run into somebody and run
I
into a
feel like
celebrity on the street and they're cool, and
yeah.
then you run into somebody who's just like out buying milk at the corner bodega, and they're like, "No, you got to pay me $25 to take my picture."
Exactly. I feel I didn't answer your question properly, but I feel there's maybe no answer for that. But it happens everywhere. Like it's in every city, and no matter where you're from. And sometimes where you're from have advantages and disadvantages. I have been in situations where I'm native Colombian, so they ask me like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm from Colombia." And they're like, "Oh, cool, relax." They chill because they think like, "Okay, a guy from the third world, so we're fine." I don't know how it will be if I say like, oh, I'm American. I don't know. Could be maybe
Mhm.
not the same answer. So, but as long as you keep a humble attitude and you don't come also like as you don't like to photograph rock stars, you shouldn't be like a rock star photographer who is just like,
Yeah.
like come here and no, like have that common sense of humanity, and they will be nice with you. That's has worked to me so many times,
You're a
so
genuine
many
dude.
times.
I mean, you come off very, very, very humble, genuine. And I think that probably goes a long way when you're over photographing other cultures, that you're not over there. You don't give off exploitation vibes. You don't give off like you're out there doing it for you. You are a true storyteller. It's beautiful to listen to you talk about your images and how you capture them. It's almost as beautiful as looking at your images. It's always good to have you on and pick your brain, because you're out there going to places that most of us are never going to go to. So it's just interesting. It's interesting to see the that perspective, because you hear so much, man. You hear so many people say this and say that, and they're not out there doing it. You're out there doing it. So, thank you for your knowledge and experience that you rain down on us every time you come on the show.
Oh, thanks to you, and thanks for all these words and this opportunity. And just have the experience. I think you have to leave it for yourself in general. Like if someone is thinking here, like, oh, I'm afraid to go to this country because I read the news, I read this, like, go and talk to locals, go and actually see if it's like that, and then just like just give it a try and see how your experience will be. Don't go to the risky side. Don't be fooled. Don't go without the right people. Just go there and try it. Be careful, be mindful. You have expensive gear, and use your intuition. So and thank you so much. And we have to do the New Year's.
We do.
Yeah,
we do. One of our diamond viewers, VIP here, Matt Spinetta. Matt, what's up, man? I haven't heard from you in a while. I know I've been running around, but Matt is one of our longtime viewers. He says, I was going to say, you both need to give yourself some credit for your subjects, street and travel, being so comfortable with having their photo taken. So much of it depends on the photographer, in my opinion. And it's true. I think, it really is. It comes down to, not just the situation, but how the photographer handles the situation. We're problem solvers. You're a problem solver. Every time you go out, you got to tell a story. You never know what you're going to get. And it's really about dealing with situations on the fly and finding solutions.
And no matter how much you plan it, like you can plan as much as you want, but being on the ground, it's actually being on the field, it's completely different. Like you can plan, like, I will take this portrait, and you never end up with that portrait. You end up with a different image. There is nothing you can plan. I don't know. I feel, I feel, I don't know, you will correct me, Derek, but I feel sometimes photographers, we go with a camera and we go out and we have no idea what we will get. It's like, I don't know if I will get a good image, and that's all. And
that's every day, man.
Good, and then you take a picture and say, oh, this is quite good. And then, I don't know, you share it with another photographer and they say like, oh, this is not so good. And you are like disappointed. And then you think like, this image that sucked, this is really great. I think that's the photographer's craft itself.
That's great. Why I set my expectations very low so that I'll always be happy with my results. Esteban, man, it's great chopping it up with you. Look, everybody, you heard it here. We're gonna have to put something in the works. If we can get this guy to stop traveling and stay in one place for
I'll be in New York for a while. And we have
there
the
we
winter.
go.
Winter is beautiful for taking pictures there. Let's do something. Actually, let's do something there.
Let's do it. We'll set it up. So you guys heard it here. I'm not gonna go on air and lie. It's a promise. I'll make it happen in this coming year. We'll set something up. We'll get you guys, for everybody who's in the tri-state area. Heck, this one might be worth traveling out to New York for, but we'll hit the streets, Esteban and me together. We'll bring along a crew of B&H event spacers, and it'll be one big happy family. But that's all we got for now. I'll let you guys go get back to your dinners on the East Coast. If you're over in Europe, Asia, wherever you're joining us from, it's probably very early in the morning. Esteban is just finishing up his afternoon. So huge thank you again for Esteban joining us, and for Sony for sponsoring this 6-part series. Esteban's going to be back next week. We got him for a couple more weeks. So we'll get your fill of travel photography in. Keep those questions coming. We'll get you back here in the same place, same time next week. That's it. Another round of the B&H virtual event space is in the books. We'll catch y'all next time.